All right, afternoon, folks. If you want to buy the standard, the QR code is here. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Just want to make sure that you are in the right room. This room is for height-related activity chapter. We'll be covering abseil, climbing, and challenge course. Right? If you are looking for water and looking for land-based activity, you are in the wrong room. So I'm going to give people 30 seconds in case you need to switch room. You can switch, okay? Just in case anyone go to the wrong room, all right? Just take a bit of time, make sure you're in the right room first. All right, so we shall start. All right, can everyone turn to each other and say good afternoon? Okay, after lunch is a very dangerous session to take over, all right? So my name is Yan Kai. I'm the sub-work group lead for height-related activity. And we have Bok Leong. Can everyone give Bok Leong a round of applause? Bok Leong is from ITE College East. So we sit together and work on the activity chapter, right? So these are the folks that I spend a lot of time drinking coffee with them. Like they will come to my office, we'll drink coffee, and then we'll talk. We try to sort out, and then we argue over what is right, what is wrong. So these are the good folks. You realize that they are quite diverse. We have people from the ministry, we have people from SSCMF, and we have people from OBS. As well as the private provider. All right? So RP is also represented by Salamat. So these are a group of people. So for today's session, right, this is roughly what we're going to do. Okay, so a big part of it, right, we will be asking you, are you following the standards? Because the standard statement is written in such a way that can be interpreted differently for different people. So the idea here is, are you interpreting the standards correctly? Are you following the standards? And if you are following, what documentation, what evidence should you provide? So in the event we go into adoptions, we go into accreditation, that will become a very important piece. And you should start now. Should, not shall. You should start now. That means if you have planned to be accredited, right, and want to make sure that you are following the standards, you should start now. Therefore, it will give you runway to make sure all your documentation processes are in place. Okay? So, first thing I'd like to do is a very quick check-in. Could you just turn to folks nearest to you? Some of you sit a bit far, so you just move a little bit, right? Or it can be someone behind you, in front of you. If you are alone, just do like a hello and how was lunch for you, Ken? Just a quick one. Ready, go. Okay, so most of you are sitting with folks that you know each other. I'm not going to ask you to introduce your name, but we need to let you know the objective for today's session, all right? So could you just quickly read this? Okay, so I want to make sure everyone is very clear. Bok Leong and myself, we are not going to cover the entire height chapter. We are not going to cover it. But our goal is to give you some guide to how do you read the standard statements. Because once you know how to read, right, the same practice can be applied to all other activity. Okay, so our goal is really to help you to read the standards, and you need to understand the standards in the right context. Because in the different context, the standard may not apply. Okay, and lastly, how you want to implement in your own organization. Okay, so I'm going to bring in Bok Leong now to talk about this one.
Okay, so we have even before this session, some friends were asking, so how do we differentiate between outdoor education activity and outdoor pursuit? So this is a very good question because sometimes we find that in between there's some gray area. All right, so these are some of the activities that maybe you ask yourself, okay, is this outdoor education or outdoor pursuit activity? Okay, abseil proficiency level 2. Okay, how many of you think that this is outdoor pursuit? Yeah, okay. Hey.
Good timing,
Your answer is correct. Okay, team belay climbing during answer is there already, OE lesson, This is a giveaway, As educator, we don't always make it tough for our audience, right? All right. So this is a giveaway, right? SNCS sports climbing level. This one also should be pretty obvious, okay? And then the fourth one, abseiling in the cohort camp. What do you think? OE, yeah? Okay. So you notice that anything that is leading towards a particular skills expectation, that means we're going to be giving a certificate. Probably that will be qualified under outdoor pursuit, right? So some of the questions, again, I shared before this session, they're asking, what about CCA activity in the school? Climbing CCA, okay? Anybody would like to maybe share your thoughts on this? Climbing CCA activity in the school, should we consider that as under outdoor education or outdoor pursuit? Okay. I think for some, we may feel that this is maybe somewhere in a bit of a gray area. Okay, why I say that? Now, if in the CCA, beginning, those beginner to the CCA, you are teaching them how to climb, not leading towards level 1. Maybe that is still can be considered as outdoor education. Agree? Anybody want to challenge my statement on that? Okay, we want to be challenged, because our job is to challenge our student, our participant, right? So number one, we must also stand up to challenge. Okay, anybody want to challenge me on that statement? Don't be so nice to us. Okay, so because we need to teach them a skill, yes, in order for them to do the activity, right? But it's not leading towards expectation standard, okay? Just like kayaking, if you are bringing a group out for kayaking, but not leading towards a 1-star, because the kayaking is important example for a camp. If you don't teach them how to kayak, there's no way that you can run that maybe a kayaking program, but I'm not going to certify that you are a 1-star kayaker. Okay, that skill is good enough for you to carry out your outdoor education activity. Okay? Yeah. So this sets the context up, because I think in the morning you hear from Evan and Delane. Our context on this is the standard is really we are looking at outdoor education activity. Okay? And no doubt a lot of the things that we do sometimes may fall into the outdoor pursuit. All right? Use back the example of the CCA. I have a climbing CCA in the school. The students, sometimes we have to, because they are going for national competition, and you know that for league climb, they need to be certified at least a level 2. So we have to make the student go through that level 2 program. That is already outdoor pursuit, and that will not be covered under this standard. So then which standard do we follow? So if you listen, you have been paying attention in the morning, you should know the answer. Okay? Which standard then do we follow when it's outdoor pursuit? Primary school, no league climbing for climbing competition. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So pertaining towards performance based, that means they are going for competition, it will be under outdoor pursuit. Because why? We are not just ensuring that they can do something good enough for us to do something, but now is they have to do really well, right? In order for them to win that particular competition. I mean, nobody take part in competition to lose, right? Although we may not always be the winner, but the spirit is we want to win. But losing is not that bad because we learn from our failure as well. Okay, but nobody compete to lose one. Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you. So this is the context of climbing and abseil. So this is the only chapter that have a very strong reference to external standards. So when you come to challenge course, you will be referring to ACCT NC 032019 or EN 15567. So basically, why we selected these two standards was when the subwork group was set up, right? We were asking ourselves, where do we reference from? What do we reference? Do we have the expertise to talk about how elements is built? Do we have the expertise on engineering? The answer is we don't have. Yeah, and there are two existing standards that are widely already adopted in Singapore. Therefore, we went with two criteria. The first criteria is the selected standard should be widely adopted in Singapore. So therefore, these two standards, right, is quite widely adopted in Singapore. Second thing we ask ourselves is, does it cover building, inspection, training, certification, operation? Is it comprehensive enough such that we know that it covers all aspects of the challenge course? So it will be referring to these two standards. All right, so if your site choose to follow the EN standards, then you have to make sure you follow to the T about the EN standards. If your site choose to follow ACCT standards, you have to follow to the T of ACCT standards. Okay, so this is the context. We have the first question for you to, so this is challenge course definition. The mobile challenge course are also part of these standards. Okay, so this is basically what we're going to cover. So let's do the first practice now. Okay, lead climbing shall be belayed by a SCNS level 2 trained belayer. Okay, could you have a chat with your partner? Is this following standard or not? All right, so I'm going to give you like 2 minutes, have a chat with the folks around you, right? Ready, go. All right, so raise your hand if you think that you are following the standards. Okay, we got a couple of folks. Raise your hand if you think that you are not following the standards. Okay, raise your hand if you are confused. Okay, so let's explore this a bit, yeah? So I answer the first part, you take the second. The answer is yes and no. Yes and no. Because when I say standards, I didn't tell you what type of standards. Because if you are following SSCMS standards, then you are following standards. But if you say that I'm following the OAE standards, then you are not. So first, contextually, you must be clear what standards you are referring to. Because once the word standard come out after this conference, everyone will use the word standard loosely. They will just say, I'm following the standard, I'm following the standard. But when we ask, actually what standard you are following, right? They go like, I'm following standard law. Yeah, so this is a yes and no. Your site or your activity, you must be clear what standards you are following. Okay, so now let's go to if it's OAE standards. Is this following the standard?
So for belayer, okay, again under outdoor education, okay, some of us have auto belay system, okay, and some of us we train our student to be the belayer, okay. So actually under OAE standard, we do specify the different condition, okay. When do you use those, okay? And again for belaying, because there is a skill standard involved, okay. I would check closely with the SSCMF standards, okay. The OAE standard. In some cases, you will not find this just peculiar to climbing, but for water, for land as well. Sometimes we actually don't exactly specify the specific standard that you need to follow. Okay, but whatever standard there is out there, especially when there's a governing body or there's an industry that says this, okay, we then will take that standard because sometimes it's too varied. All right.
All right, so I'm going to show you the standard statement. So this is a standard statement. So the standard explicitly states that we only cover top rope climbing and bouldering. That's all. The reason is that when we did a survey across the board to all the outdoor adventure education provider, nobody used lead climbing as a platform for educational outcome. They use it for skill outcome, but not for educational outcome. So meaning you won't see a cohort camp where the camp operator asks the students, can you do lead climbing? You will never see it. Yeah, that's why we excluded it. So the standard is explicit that you only cover top rope climbing and bouldering. That's it. Okay? Clear? Yes. 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 Yeah. Okay. Any clarification? Okay, don't have. Okay, this one a bit clearer. Are you following the standards? Okay, so same, take a minute, have a chat with the folks beside you so that you can have a bit of time to process.
Oh, just a reminder, if you have a question, we will appreciate if you can go to the mic because we are recording this session. All right, so we want to pick up your question clearly and then we can share with the rest of the community who might not be able to be here today. Okay, thank you.
All right. So let's do a hand poll. Those who say yes, raise your hand. Okay, we got a couple of yeses. Those who say no, raise your hand. Okay, those that refuse to raise your hand, no, just kidding. Okay, so I'm going to show you what is written in the standards, all right? Okay, so the standard never say you need to do an operation accreditation. It never say. All it say you need to comply with the requirement described in the EN and ACCT standard. Meaning now you need to go to ACCT standards and read ACCT standards. Okay? So if your site got a challenge course, you want to make sure you own the EN standards or the ACC standard, depending on what standard your site choose to subscribe to. Okay, so now let's refer to ACCT standard, all right? So this is what is written in the ACCT standards. Okay, now that you have a chance to read this, right, could you go back to your partner? Tell me, your site operation shall be ACCT operation accredited. Is it following the standard or not? Can? All right, turn to your partner, have a thought about this very quickly, all right? Okay, ready? Okay, raise your hand if you say yes. Okay, we got a couple of yeses. Raise your hand if you say no. Okay, you all ready for the answer? The answer is no need to do that. Because all the standards say is you shall engage in a review of its practices by an external qualified person. But it never say the organization shall engage in a review to attain ACCT operation accreditation. It didn't say that. All it say that it's a good practice for a site to always have someone to come in to have a look at your operation, and that person should be a qualified person. Okay, so this is the part that is really important for every one of us to understand, is you must separate what the client requirement is and what the standard requirement is. So currently, if you are familiar with the landscape now, you realize that MOE will tell all the sites, if you have a challenge course, your site must be ACCT Operation Review accredited. But that is a client requirement. It's not a standards requirement. So the standard tell you what is the minimum practice you must have. But if you choose to go higher, or your client choose to go higher, it's between the buyer and the seller. So meaning as a buyer, I say I want a higher standard, you can meet or not? Yeah, if you want, you meet it. Okay? So please do not say the SS have benchmarked a very high standard. We did not. We are quite clear that we need to make sure that it is a standard where the industry can pick up. Can? Okay, so are you all ready? The next one? Okay, so I will show you and you read first. Okay, so this is the question. Same thing, have a talk with your partner. Are you following the standards, all right? The center has 10 climbers climbing on the wall at the same time. Okay? All right, have a chat with your partner, then we will answer you, okay? Okay, quick check. Raise your hand if you are following the standards. Raise your hand if you are not following the standards. Also not follow. Raise your hand if you don't care anymore. Okay, so I give you another scenario. Your center allows 10 persons to be on the Abseil platform at the same time. So are you following the standards or are you not following the standards? Okay, so this one tricky answer. I let Bok Leong answer.
Okay, I think the key consideration, of course, is how many instructor, or we call it activity leadership, a competent person that you have on the spot. Okay, and of course, I know that a lot of the audience here don't have a chance to look at the standard yet, but the standard does have some recommendation guideline pertaining to what kind of supervision is also required. That one we will cover later, okay? So how many person do you have? Actually, end of the day, we ask, should the client determine or should the center determine? I think end of the day, we will go with the one that is the safest. If the client feel that this 10 is ridiculous, I only allow 3, then it will be a 3.
Okay.
Because I'm the client. Okay. So if the service provider doesn't agree, then you have to convince the client. It cannot be, I say 3, but the service provider convinced me it can be a 5. Then something happened. Of course, the service provider have to be the one responsible. The responsibility doesn't transfer that way. Okay?
Yeah.
Because it has to be an agreement between the one who is sending the student, that is the school, and the one that's providing the service. These two have to be in sync. Okay?
All right. So this is the tension between the client and the provider. Okay. But if you look at it, right, this is an operating procedure statement. This is not a standard statement.
Yep.
Right? So if you look at 10 climbers climbing on the wall at the same time, this is an operational safety capacity issue. So the person you should go back to should be the builder. The builder will have to tell you, given this is the size of the wall, the maximum I allow this number of people to climb at the same time. All right, so you need to do that. You need to refer to the builder. Okay? If the builder already, then close shop already, right? Then you either get another builder to tell you, or then you have to go with a qualified person that can tell you that actually based on this size of the wall, the way it's laid out, you can have 10 climbers at the same time. So this is an operational capacity thing. Now, when you talk about the center allow 10 persons on the abseil platform, again, this is an operating procedure statement, but this instruction you should get from your structural engineer. That means when you build the place that time, you need to ask the structural engineer or the professional engineer how many people can be on the platform at the same time. Okay, so you need to know who to ask. So the standard just tell you safe capacity, but you need to know who to ask just to make sure that your center elements are meeting the operation and loading capacity. Okay? Clarification, anyone?
Yeah, if you have any question, just ask us immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, because we are worried at the end we may not have another separate segment for Q&A. Huh?
Can I? Okay, so remember the part that I talked about qualified person? If you are following the Singapore standards have a section on section 3 that define what we call as a qualified peer. They have a definition for it. You need to look for this person. If you don't have a structural, if you are looking at operational capacity, if you don't have the builder to explain to you, then you revert to what we call common practices. And to revert to common practices, you look for a qualified peer. So the standards actually define for you. But if you are using the ACCT standards as a reference, then ACCT standards have a reference, have a definition for qualified person. So you need to find the right people to advise you. Can? Okay. So are you all doing okay? Okay, can you all give me a thumbs up if you're okay? Can? Okay. Thanks. Okay, this one. My in-house challenge course instructor courses are conducted by an experienced instructor with 4,000 hours of experience. Okay, please mind the grammar error, okay? Because I do this like 3 a.m., so a bit stoned. Okay, so could you have a chat? Are you following the standards? Okay. Yes, raise your hand. No, raise your hand. Okay, so, so I show you what is written in the SS first. Okay, so let me explain to you the implication. So currently, based on Singapore standards, it's written inside the standards already that the activity leadership shall at a minimum be trained and certified by accredited body of ACCT or EN standards. Meaning all your cert on high element now, no use already. Okay, brief. Okay, brief. Brief. Okay, it's important because the standard already tell you, if you are not under ACCT or EN standard, that means the cert you hold doesn't belong to these two organizations. Singapore standard do not recognize it anymore. Okay, can you turn to your partner and tell your partner brief? Because I see some of you all like staring at me. Can, huh? First, you must understand what the standard say first, huh? Can? Okay, wait. I give you the good news. So the good news is this one. So in accordance with an equivalent standard endorsed by the local governing authority, in this case is the OAE Council. So meaning, some of the cert that you are holding, the organization may step forward to the OAE Council and say, I want my training to be recognized. And the council will actually go through the standards, go through the curriculum, go through their training, see whether whatever training that is provided match these two. If it match these two, the council may accept. Okay? This is good news or bad news? I cannot tell for all your face. Halfway, huh? Okay. So don't worry. Remember, there's a 2-year rule-out period. Right? So you will see things start to shift. Some of the cert that you're holding is an in-house cert. Majority of the in-house cert will no longer be recognized. With the exception of OBS, CCI cert, we are now going through a process to make sure that it meet and then it will be recognized. So if you hold an OBS, CCI cert, be assured there's no way it will not be recognized. All right? But just that we have to go through the process. Once the standard is written, anyone else wants their standard, their curriculum to be recognized, will have to go through the process. Okay? Okay.
So this point C is actually no different from sports coaching certification, for example. I mean, in Singapore, you know that. Okay, so the recognition of competence here, maybe let me finish my previous one first. So if you have a coaching cert from another country, okay, it cannot be from a private company. But it's from a national governing body of the country, maybe. You can produce this cert to Sports SG for them to see whether or not it can be recognized, or to the national governing body. Okay, but it's from a private company, then it's going to be very difficult because there are so many private service operators that claim that, yeah, we are also doing the same thing, but there have to be some form of accountability. Okay, and private company, as you know, they could be gone the next day. So usually that recognition will be given to the national governing body. So same thing for our cert. If it's from a recognized institution, okay, then I'm sure the council will be happy to review them.
Okay. So if you look at statement A actually say relevant local organization or government body. So in this case, abseiling and climbing, there is a national governing body which is SSCMF. Meaning if you hold that cert, you are recognized to operate. Okay. Now, other qualification we have been approved by relevant local organization or government body. So far, we haven't do the work. By the way, the work is a lot. We have to read, have to visit, quite a lot of work. Some other organization may step forward and then we will have to do it. Okay. And peer recognized competence, there's another section you need to refer to. Yeah, but you need to understand if you are doing abseil or climbing, actually now you have an option of 2 different cert. One is the EN or ACCT standard cert. Second is the SSCMF cert. So you have options to use either one to operate if you are doing climbing or abseil. Okay? Okay, my center operates a bottom belay system for abseil, or what is commonly known as a fireman belay. Okay, are you following the standard? Yes or no? Quick one. Yes, raise your hand. No, raise your hand. Still thinking, raise your hand. Well, not bad. Okay, at least people raise their hand. Okay, you all want the answer? Okay, so the standard explicitly say can. Okay, so if your center choose to operate bottom braking system, it's actually acceptable. It's no issue at all. Okay, because we went through, there are quite a few centers, they are doing it, and the people who are doing it, right, know what they are doing. So we really don't want to be overly prescriptive, to say a lot of things cannot be done. We really look at, okay, how many people are using, do they know how to use it? Because there's nothing wrong with a bottom brake or bottom belay system. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, it's just that previously, many people who are operating it, right, they are not competent to operate it, resulting in some injury. But if your center is competent, it's no issue.
So you notice the standard also throws some question for us. Okay, if you choose to use this, have you considered enough? Because when something happen, you can't say that, oh, because OBS do this, I just follow. That is not the answer from a competent person. Okay, the layman can do that, but a competent person, the activity leader, cannot give that kind of answer. All right, so there must be very good reason why you are following something or not, which was the emphasis of this morning. Actually, you can do anything, but when something happens, are you able to stand out to scrutiny? Okay, so the standard, I mean, a lot of times the way we read it is just a risk assessment. It depends on your competency, your experience, and your tolerance for risk. Okay, and none of this is right or wrong. It's really a collective decision by a group of people that's responsible ultimately for the safety of all the stakeholders, including the trainer. Okay, your safety is also important. Okay?
Can I? Okay, so we are finishing the segment on are you following the Singapore standard? Yes, question, sir. Go.
Can I take reference from this?
Yes.
Does that mean that they don't have a belay line? It is just one
Yes.
one abseil line
Yep.
procedure, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the first sentence to me seems like for abseil activity, there is you will only use.
Oh, got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That means
Oh.
you don't allow me to use belay.
Understand.
Line, Yeah.
Okay, so this is the part where you have to read the entire chapter. Yeah, because remember morning we say, right, we are taking out certain statement to explain, but the question you ask actually is on top. Yeah, but we put this out specifically because within the task subwork group, right, we have a very long, discussion around it lah. Then we go like, no lah, there are sufficient number of places they are practicing it and they are doing it well. We shouldn't say that it cannot be done. So we explicitly put it in to say that it can be done. Can. Yes. Last two slides. The 4,000 hour one. Yes. Yeah, for now.
What about those instructors who are just doing safety briefing and let's say wearing the harness? Do they need to do this as well to be certified?
Okay. That one, you have to go up further where there is a segment that talk about briefing. Yeah. So you will realize when you read the standards, right, a lot of time they use the term activity leadership. Unless they say activity leader, then it specifically it need to be the leader to be the one doing it. But if they say activity leadership, means it can be the leader, it can be the assistant leader. The assistant leader normally need to be supervised. Can? So you need to go back and read. Thanks for clarifying. Okay, so this is a question now. How would you implement this statement? Okay, so this one, can you have a chat with your partner? Just talk through how you're going to implement. Okay?
The first part of the statement, every time when we see the word regularly, okay, a question should be appearing in your mind. How regular is regular? All right? So the standard does say at least once every 3 years. But if you want to do it every year, every 6 months, it's up to you. Agree? But take note of B, after the occurrence of an incident, obviously, whatever wonderful things we have put in place, something still happened. Now, that warrants for us to really look at the system. Okay, and that's why they say immediately after the occurrence of an incident, maybe because you have put something even better in place, and because of the addition of something better, then the entire leadership need to be revamped again. Okay? So this one is important. And don't delay this process, because although investigation may take a while, but a lot of times this is one part that may not be followed up very closely. Okay?
Okay. All right. So if you read these statements, they are actually two separate statements. The bottom statement is when should you review your rescue procedure. But the top statement is about how regular you need to practice. Okay, so the question of how do you determine regular? So you realize that in the standards, right, sometimes we are not very prescriptive. So sometimes we'll use word like regular. The question then is who determine what is regular? Okay? So we're going to give you something to think about. So as much as you can, if you are building something and someone train you, you always revert to that person. Meaning if the builder built something for you, the builder say that this is how the rescue need to be done. You want to ask the builder to say, how regular do I need to rescue training? Yeah, because if you are familiar with the sector, if you are in a zip line tour or aerial park organization, their rescue refresher training is every week. Every week. So we work with Genting Cruise. Genting Cruise is every week. The staff will run through all the rescue procedure again. But you will realize that it doesn't happen for many other organizations. This is because of the capacity they take. They run through people by the thousands. So therefore, the builder say that you have to do rescue training every week. Whereas for most of the site, right, you need to ask your builder what is regular. So the builder should tell you. Now, the question is, the builder say, let's say the builder didn't tell you. Then what do you do? Then you have to call your friend. Okay? Call your friend. Not me. Call your friend. Meaning, you want to ask different center that have very similar operation capacity like yours and say, how regular you do rescue training? How regular you do rescue training? Because through that, you can determine what we call common practice. All right? So, we are mindful that we don't want the word standards and common practice get thrown around very loosely. But you must understand when you say common practice, you need to be able to tell me who have you talked to, how many sites is practicing it. Then you got something to land on.
So you notice this is quite common to our procurement practices also. You want to go for the more expensive item, then you have to justify why are some people paying this rate. So the market research is important. When nothing else can help you, the market research will help you in a long way, because end of the day, sometimes it may touch on the word duty of care. Okay, by not doing the market research before you deciding on something when there's no standard to fall on, have we done our due diligence? That means have we fulfilled our duty of care? That question will be asked when something happens. Okay? Yep. Thank you.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about activity leadership members. Okay. So when you read this chapter, you go like, what is this? I don't understand. Remember, there is chapter 4 and there are chapter 3. Chapter 3 are all the definition. So if you wonder what activity leadership members means, go to chapter 3 where all the definition is there. So could you just read the definition very quickly? So you realize the thing about reading a standards is that they have one statement, they will ask you to refer to another statement, and then they will ask you to refer to another statement. So just now, Bok Leong, we have a chat. We want you to understand we are not expecting you to remember the standards. If any point of time you have doubt, like, am I following? Did I miss something? To us, it's actually a very healthy conversation. Okay, you are not expected to remember the standard. Please go back, read the standard. And every time you read, right, you will go like, alamak, how come I never see this? Like I read the standard like 10 times already, Sometimes when I go back in, how come I will miss this? Yeah, please don't think that you read the standard one time, you'll remember everything. It really doesn't work like this. Yeah, if any point of time you get challenged or someone asks you, you go like, I'm not very sure. I think to us, it's actually a very healthy thing. Go back to the standards, read the definition. So, activity leader is a competent person leading and supervising an activity. Then you go like, So how you define competent person? Then we have a definition. A person who have the required skill level, qualification and experience for the duty to which they are assigned. So all the definition, as much as you can, is already provided in the standards. Okay, so please read the standard. Okay, don't try to memorize it, okay? Okay, so let's try another one. So this is the rescue part that Bok Leong already explained already. So we're going to skip this. Okay. Yes. Go back, yes. Yep. when you replace the equipment, right?
What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you will do before you reopen? Okay, in the interest of, sorry? Relabel the road. Okay, yeah, maybe you need to update your record. Thanks for pointing that out, right? So the point I'm trying to drive at is, if that rope have shown signs of wear and tear, okay, and it's not within the expected kind of like replacement period, maybe take the opportunity to check the rest. Because when something happen, could other thing also have show such signs? Okay? Of course, if it's the one and only time, maybe not so. But if it's happening again the following week, then for us, we take that as an opportunity, maybe things are not right. So while managing safety, I think this one cannot be stressed enough. We don't take things for granted. We don't want to be complacent. Because nobody say anything means everything is good. The one is too simple. We need to, we could do a lot more to make sure that at least for ourselves, the thing is safe. Okay, thank you.
All right. One more question. Oh, yes. We go
Hello.
for behind first, then we come to
Yeah.
you. Yes, behind question.
Hey, hi, Yankai Moksin here.
Yes.
Can I just confirm? I think I know the answer. Okay, but
Just confirm lah.
if the abseil side, the anchorings and the anchoring points, it went through a major modification. Can I also correctly say that it also requires a review?
Correct. That is a structural thing. Then you need to go through the PE process, and then whoever do the changes for you, then they will need to tell you whether is there a need for changing of rescue procedure or anything. But if there's nothing, then you can just do.
So that falls under C? Or
Actually, that fall under structure. It's not here. Yeah. That fall under structure.
So I need to read the whole book?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so point B, immediately after the occurrence of an incident.
Yep.
So if let's say just a normal somebody tired needs to be rescued down
Yep.
from the
Yep.
let's say the tower or
Yep.
the challenge course, does that consider as an incident or
Okay.
only after like a
Okay. So first you must understand the word review. Review doesn't mean change.
yeah?
Review just mean that just check again. If you go like actually nothing to do with equipment, don't change anything lah. But if you suspect whatever happened is due to the equipment, then you may want to think about changing. All we are saying is you need to review. We never say you need to change. But sometimes review means change. Sometimes review just check everything is okay, we are all good.
Does this review needs to be documented or it just could be like a verbal review?
That one is
among
chapter 4.
Okay. Okay.
Chapter
understand.
4. Okay, it's not that we don't want to answer your question, but we want people to have the habit of referring to the core chapter, because core chapter will tell you all the documentation and everything you need to do. Can? Can? Okay. Next questions. Okay, how do you implement this? Okay, so I'm going to explain a little bit, then I give you some time to talk about, all right? So the tricky part about this statement is actually this. So meaning, if we ask the participant to do spotting, how do you know that they have the skill and knowledge to do the activity? If we ask them to do belaying, how do we know they have the prerequisite skill and knowledge to do the activity? So, as an activity leader, you need to think about it. Because we see sites that do spotting, but the participants are spotting very badly. But the instructor just start the low element activity immediately. Then we go like, no, you have to ensure they have the prerequisite skill to do the job. Okay, so it's no longer making sure they go through a belay school, it's making sure that they have the skill to do the activity. So this is the one that we also took a long time to debate to come to agreement. It's not just teaching, but making sure they have the skill. Can? Okay, so this is the other one that Bok Leong, yes, this is the one you want to talk about. Okay.
Okay, so the guide also provided kind of like prescription for us. Okay, when we talk about supervision, okay, what kind of supervision are we looking at? All right. So there are four. Okay. So you have direct, indirect. Okay. So when do we use what? So this is example for abseiling at the dispatch point. Okay. So you are there making sure that everything is good before you let the participant go down. So we say that this should be direct. Direct meaning you are at the position where you can stop immediately something from happening. Okay, that is direct. Okay. If I want to stop you from talking, okay, I will say, can you stop talking? This is direct or indirect? Indirect. But if I'm next to him, I can cover his mouth. Yes, this is direct. Something like that. Okay? So we have this as a guide. At the landing point, okay, hopefully you should be able to see the landing point. I mean, some of the detail we did not put out, but you should be able to see the landing point so that can be indirect. Right, now, then the question is, if I can't see the landing point, what should be the supervision be? This is a question you need to ask the leadership. Okay? We all have our answer, but what is acceptable to your organization? At the waiting area, that can be indirect. Okay, again, if you can't see the waiting area, because not everything is set up nicely around us, right? So as outdoor educator, we make do with whatever situation that we have. So a lot of time we talk about recce, familiarizing the ground. So we do need to look at it. Sometimes what the school tell us may not be the truth. Okay, go down and have a look. I think that would be the best. Okay, and then belay point is direct, quite straightforward. Direct here, like we say, any point where you need to stop something from happening, you are there to do it. That is direct. So I think this understanding, once we get it clear, it can help us answer a lot of those challenging situations that the client may ask. Why are you recommending this? Okay.
All right. Yep. So scenario to you, if you are doing a natural wall abseiling, natural wall, that means not an artificial building, artificial structure, it's a cliff face and you only have one instructor. Okay, could you have a talk with your partner? How do you implement your process to follow these standards? You only have one instructor on site and you are doing abseiling with your participant. Okay, ready? Have a talk with your partner, all right? How would you implement? So this one, we leave it to you to figure out. We leave it to you to figure out. Okay, what? Yes, Boxin, yes. Read, no. This one you can figure out. Okay, so actually we also have a long debate around this. Okay, realistically, there's no more natural abseil wall in Singapore anymore. There's no more cliff. Okay, unless you illegally abseil, that one not in the standard, okay? But there's actually no more. With the exception of OBS, they have one. The army have one or two, but we are not allowed to access. So in the context of OAE activity from our check, right, there's no more natural cliff abseil. Okay, most of us are doing artificial abseil wall. Okay, so the definition is in chapter 3. Okay, chapter 3 define for you what is direct, indirect, remote supervision. And please remember, it go by alphabetical order. It's not put together. Okay, they go by alphabetical order. So you can read here. Now, when you come to challenge course also have similar requirement of supervision. So it will look something like this in the chapter. So everything we talk about climbing and abseil, you will see a mirror version of it in challenge course. On challenge course, you will see a mirror version of it. So the entire standard is written like this. Meaning if you go to water, there will be a segment on supervision. Okay, there will be a segment on rescue equipment and rescue training. They will be. So once you learn how to read one chapter, activity chapter, you actually know how to read the rest. So that's our goal, to help you to be able to read across the section. Okay, so this is for challenge course. They recommend where are the direct, indirect supervision, and you realize they never tell you the ratio. Wow, how come so quiet? We never tell you the ratio because we argue until cow come home and we come to agreement that is very site-specific. Depending on the layout of your course, depending on the type of belay system you use, you need to decide what is the instructor to participant ratio. All we are saying is the type of supervision you need to do. That's all we say in the SS. Okay? Now, please read the note. Some form of belay system need direct supervision, refer to ACCT. Meaning, if you look at your belay system, it doesn't fit any of this. You need to go to the respective standards. So in ACCT standards, it's actually spelled out. Depending on type of safety system that you are using, they will tell you the age group and then what type of system you need to use. So it's actually provided in the standards. Okay? All right. Yeah, we are done. Okay, we can skip this. Okay, this is a facility management one we spoke about already. Okay, climbing abseil. Okay, so we don't have time to take question, I'm sorry. But Pok Leong myself will be walking around. Anytime catch us, but if not, you can send an email. And it's a very small community. Just call. If I receive call, you can guarantee we will answer your question. Okay? So the last thing is adopting and conforming to the standards. Like this morning, we already say if you are a service provider, you should start the process. Okay? Because 2 years feel like a long time, but it may not be. The next thing you know, 2 years is up. So you should start adopting, start going to chapter 4, look at what are the documentation you need, what are the things you need, start doing everything in place. Practitioner, because once the organization shift, the certification, all this will start to come and you will need to adjust. On the OE council side, we will continue to receive feedback from you all. So please, if you got any question that you're not clear or you say that I actually don't agree with this statement, please write into the council. Because when 2 years later, when we review the standard, we actually have to go through all the comment. And trust me, you don't want to be the person sitting inside to review all the comment, all right? It's nightmare because everything you write, we have to read and we have to debate and we have to answer. So you don't want to know how much Evan lost the hair when they have 200 over public comment. Yeah, because we literally go through every single line and go through. So if you have any concern, please write in. We are happy to support you. Okay, with that, we are done. Could you turn to each other and say thank you for the session?
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.